Welcome back to All the Cars I've Loved Before, your authoritative podcast on automotive nostalgia, where our guests are unique. Each auto has an era, and every car tells a story. So you know it's time to plug in, get a little grease under the nails, slip on the favorite car-themed t-shirt, hat, or jacket. Speaking of, let's bring in my co-host with the almost. He's got all the options. He fires on most cylinders some of the time, which I think can be true of many of us. Our man with the half-baked plan, Doug. How are you, buddy? Welcome.
Doing great.
What's the weather up there? How you doing?
Doing well. Weather's I think over the weekend it got to the 80s, but it's
80s.
been nice. Yeah.
80s heat wave.
Yeah. Today like high 60s.
Well, let me ask, over the weekend, was the weather good weather for test driving an old car? Not an old car. That's for our guest today, but an older car.
It was reasonable. I would say walking up to that area in DC to visit it reminded me of our walks in San Francisco, where, my God, it was just up crazy hills. But it's the Trinidad neighborhood in DC, which I had never been to, near Gallaudet University.
Lovely place, Gallaudet. Yeah,
indeed. So since you brought it up, I did test drive the second one I've driven, but this one was a 1992 Suzuki Cappuccino. And wasn't as nice as in the pictures, unfortunately. But
well, just like online dating, finding cars, the pictures are seldom representational. Yeah. So you've driven how many of these?
2.
Okay.
And I don't think I'll be driving anymore for a while. I think I'm going to change my focus back to my 9300ZX and get that painted. Hopefully our friend Matt is going to paint it.
And how many cars have you bought this week?
0.
Is it still at 0? Okay. Is it going to be a struggle to keep it there, you think?
Nah.
Yeah. Okay. So on the cappuccinos, the first one was nice. Second, not so nice. They were priced about the same. And tell the audience just a minute or two about these JDM.
Yeah, so it falls into what the Japanese call a K-class, KEI, which was a car limited in size, weight, horsepower, limited to about 63 horsepower, 64, and engine displacement about 660 cc's, so under 1 liter, smaller than, and I think they're all 3 cylinders, smaller than your Geo Metro that you had, which was a whole 1 liter. But this
muscle
Suzuki
car,
had a turbo.
A muscle car, yes.
Yeah, Suzuki had a turbo. They all do. Suzuki Cappuccinos. This one had an aftermarket turbo. It was noticeably more powerful than the other one.
Oh yeah, you drove a non-turbo.
No, they're all turbos, but just stock versus aftermarket turbo.
Oh, okay.
And the car weighs nothing. And
they're itty bitty.
Just to add, it's a coupe, it's a convertible, it's a T-top, it's a Targa top. It does all those different things. So it's a really neat car. It's like a mini Miata.
Okay, but we're just we're gonna let those pass to the next person out there. So hey, if you're interested, I'm sure they are available.
There's a huge thing with the Japanese K car culture in this country, or any JDM car, as they say, Japanese domestic market car. So
the Suzuki Kara, the AutoZone, all of these with the very sharp looking little cars.
Honda Beat.
Oh yeah, that was another one. There's one for sale at the interesting lot down the road from me. They cannot get rid of it. So I don't know. I think he's asking a little much, but yeah, fun cars, small cars. Well, thank you for the update.
You're welcome.
And before we go ahead, did you want to say something else?
No, I was going to say welcome.
Before we pivot to our guest today, little bit of a call to action here. Carslove.com. Please visit. We've always done, or we just did some work to the website. Let us know. Visit, reviews, pictures. You can stream shows there, I believe. And that's actually, I was surprised that we're heard around the world. So I think a lot of people, that's how they listen to us. Okay. Just go to the website, check it out. All the episodes are archived there. You want to give them the link tree real quick?
Sure. linktr.ee/cars loved.
Absolutely. So if you like what you hear, tell a family member, a coworker, a friend, because you know what we do. We bring people together all over the world. Cities here in the United States, countries all over the globe. We know because we have the data. All right. And so as we march on here closer and closer to our guests who are going to tell us about some old automobiles. Today's theme, by way of a prologue, is what is the future of history? What is the future? Is there a future in history? As our guest will show today, there absolutely is. So I'm going to toss it over to Doug. And how did today's guests find their way into your virtual garage?
Yeah. So, I watch a lot of YouTube, and we have talked to some other colleges. We've had a couple instructor-student duos before, and McPherson College in McPherson, Kansas had been on my list. I was luckily able to reach out to Tina, and she connected me with these two gentlemen. But more background, they have a automotive restoration program. I saw a great piece on CBS Sunday Morning, and I think you watched the same piece, and it was incredible.
Fantastic viewing. Yeah. If you found the podcast, the show notes will have links to both the information on the McPherson website, as well as probably a link straight to the CBS Sunday Morning piece.
Yes, sir.
And it is lovely. It is so well done. So we would like to welcome in Chris and Cash. Chris is a teacher at McPherson, and Cash is a student. Good afternoon. How are you gentlemen doing?
Good. Very good. Glad to be here.
We're thrilled to have you. Thank you for making the time today. So can you tell us a little bit, let's ask Chris first, tell us a little bit about the program, how you found your way to it, and then we'll bring Cash into the discussion and say what attracted him to what y'all are doing there.
Sure. So the McPherson College Automotive Restoration Program, this is our 49th year. We're getting ready to celebrate our 50th anniversary next year. It was started in the mid-'70s by a local entrepreneur who collected cars, and surprisingly, maybe a little ahead of his time, he was complaining he couldn't find anybody to help him with his old cars that was not already old. He said, we got to get young people, and that's something we hear now, but he saw it 50 years ago. So he got together with McPherson College, which was started in 1887, and said, if I give you cars and some money, what would you do with it? And here we are 49 years later. It's a full 4-year bachelor degree program. So students come for 4 years and join the rest of campus. We're just one program on the campus. Right. We've got other majors, so we're kind of fully integrated. And students go through, take a little bit of everything as far as car projects. We only work on vintage cars. Beginning of time, so to speak.
Right.
Really, the mid-1970s is about as new as we'll work on.
Yeah, that's so interesting that you mentioned that. Now, if you really want to put a smile on your face, I'm saying McPherson is the preferred pronunciation, McPherson?
It is McPherson.
Perfect. Thank you. Now I know. Hey, if you go to the website, if you go to catalog.mcpherson.edu, you can see all the courses that they offer here. And this is the automotive restoration. Is it okay to call it a major?
Yeah.
Okay,
sure.
Lovely. And it's so fascinating because there are core courses just like any college, and then there are emphases that you can step into. So some of the core courses, I'm not going to read them all out, but just the more interesting ones. Okay, engine rebuilding, drivetrain restoration, sheet metal restoration, fundamentals of woodworking. That is curious. So why would I need to know about woodworking when restoring a vintage car? Why would that be important?
Uh, Believe it or not, most cars built before the mid 1930s were what we call composite construction in the bodies, kind of a wood framework or wood skeleton with either sheet metal, steel or aluminum on the outside. Some were vinyl, some were leather, but
Mhm.
many before the mid 1930s were had wood in the bodies, if not constructed completely of wood.
That is so amazing to think about. So let's pivot to Cash. Cash, how did you first learn about this program, and what attracted you to it?
Okay, so similar to Doug, I went down the YouTube rabbit hole and found it that way, and you hear
It
a lot of
happens.
students saying
Yeah.
the same thing. Yeah, so I remember the night it happened. So I grew up on a ranch in Northeast Colorado,
Mm.
farming family, ranching family, cattle, alfalfa, all of it. And so I was sitting at dinner one night, going down YouTube, and I found Tom Cotter's barn find hunter video, where he donated a car to the college. And I remember looking at my mom, and I was like, "Well, scratch that. I think I'm gonna go to college to restore cars." And she looked at me and goes, "You're crazy. We're not doing that." So I convinced her my senior year of high school to come down here with me. We toured the college. Absolutely fell in love when I met everyone here, saw the place. I knew that there was no other place for me. And like I said, I grew up fixing old vehicles on the farm. Like we had a 53 Ford, that was our water truck. So that's how I kind of knew about this old stuff. And like I said, mom and I toured it, loved it. I was only 7 hours away from home. And then here I am today, junior in the program.
Junior. Nice.
Fantastic. And before we toss it over to Doug here so that he
No,
can
no.
step us back into the past and walk through them, I was going to ask, where do you find these cars? And before you answer, this is why we say the theme of this show is what is the future of history? Because as as we move forward in time, first off, more and more cars are going to become older. We do a better job at taking care of things, but you're going to take this just really unique knowledge and be able to go out and do this kind of unique niche thing in the field. But where do these cars come from originally? Where do you find these? And I'll just offer this to either of our guests.
So I at the college here, all of the projects we work on have been donated to us.
I
So we're
see.
in a really fortunate position that the college owns the vehicles. So if it doesn't get done this semester, that's okay. We'll finish it next semester. There's no customer waiting for their car back. Which is and as the program's gotten to be better known, we've been really fortunate to get some great donations to have students work on. Um, and having said that, it also sort of limits us. I mean, we have certain cars that we'll be out looking for, but yeah, we've gotten some great projects and great cars donated to us that we work on. So they just come in from here and there.
Yeah, it could take years to finish a car, right? So once it comes to you, if it's been weathered or rodents have been in it, and you really have to pull it apart, I would think that happens with a lot of these. You're talking upholstery; it has to be pulled apart. Any springs in the upholstery, the chassis, the wood, all that kind of stuff. So you really have to start from the. Oh, you mentioned donations, so could I ask, are there any celebrities, let's say, any former talk show celebrities that have had anything to do with your story?
Yeah, certainly Jay Leno is probably the most notable. He's been a supporter for a long, long time, and we're certainly grateful for his support over the years.
Lovely, lovely. And as was mentioned in the CBS Sunday Morning uh, piece, as I kind of ramp down here, let's talk about a 1953 Mercedes and how that really helped the program just over the past 2 years gain national visibility and prominence.
Yeah, I can speak to that a little bit. So it was 12 years ago now that we set out on a new strategic plan. And that was to compete to win at Pebble Beach, which
Mm.
some people scoffed at. How are you going to, how is this little school in Kansas going to do that with a bunch of quote kids? And we went out and we found this 1953 Mercedes 300S Cabriolet, which looked like a pretty good, solid old car. And we took it down and had students restore every single piece of it with the goal in mind, which I think is just a huge part of where some people have trouble with their project. They don't know what they want it to be. We knew from the beginning we wanted to make it as perfect as we possibly could. And so just spent 7 years working with students, but having them do the total restoration.
And so you have that car is still on campus again. It's still owned by the university.
Yep. It's
Beautiful.
Was shown at Pebble Beach, and it's been shown at several other events since then. And it is owned by the college, and I presume or hope will be continue to be owned by the college for years, so we can continue to display what some students have done.
Got it. Lovely. Now, I didn't see this on the website, but is there a kind of a museum on the school grounds where you can see these, or?
I don't know. You want to?
There's not a museum associated with the school. We do have a town museum that they do. One of our teachers here, Luke Channel, he's on the board, and he'll do rotating automotive displays. And like my freshman year, I worked at the museum here in town, so I helped set up some of those automotive displays. And the one currently going is German automobiles. But most of the cars the college owned are stored in a storage facility where all the same students store their cars too. So, but there's showrooms in the Templeton that we display them, and all in tasteful, look really good, impress everyone. Nice way of doing it.
Fantastic. And do you have cars? I don't know how to say it, but cars from all over the world. You have, is it all domestics? Do you take in imports too? Will you take anything you can get your hands on?
So we do not take anything we can get our hands on. We do say no to quite a few projects, whether they are and that sounds almost counterintuitive. Somebody wants to give you something, but we've got quite a few cars. We're certainly glad to talk to anyone that has something in mind that they'd like to potentially donate to us. We do try to have a little bit of everything. We've got mostly U.S. and European, actually entirely U.S. and European cars, but quite a spread from Europe. Mercedes.
Got it.
I don't know. Triumph. Yeah. Austin Healey's. So we've got, and then of course a lot of U.S. stuff also.
Lovely. Got it. Thank you. All right. Well, here's the time. I just, here's the time of the program where I sort of toss it over to Doug, who likes to go 88 miles an hour and flame back to the future, so to speak. So let's go back in time, Doug.
Yeah.
And let's chat with these gentlemen about what they have, what got them started, so to speak.
Yeah. So, it's interesting to hear Cash talk about growing up on a farm. We've had several people grew up on a farm, and people I've known personally, and you have to fix everything, right? And
their first cars were tractors. Yeah.
Yep. That was one of our guests. Yep. Yep. Mm-hmm. So it just comes natural, right? And it's a necessity, right? There's nobody else to go fix it. You got to go do it. So Cash, your first car was a
1970 Volkswagen Beetle.
Nice.
Bright yellow.
Mm-hmm.
They're always yellow. Why are they yellow?
Well, everybody knows where you go. I think it was a thing so that way if I got in trouble, they could spot me in the small town that I grew up in, be like, that dang kid.
We're giving Cash a car, but it's going to be the loudest car in the village.
It was.
Cool, man.
It was the loudest and the brightest.
Yeah.
Slowest, but.
And how'd you get that car, Cash?
So this one is kind of an interesting story. My mom, when I was about ready to turn 16, like I said, grew up on a farm. So we had a bunch of farm vehicles. But my mom had a 2011 Hyundai Elantra, just one of her like random cars. And she goes, Cash, here's something reliable you can have for high school. I'll sign it over to you. That way, you never break down. And I said, thank you, but I'm going to trade that instantly. And so as soon as I got it in my name, I went and traded it for that Volkswagen Beetle. And she liked it. You know, she drove a manual. My grandfather, one of his first cars was a Volkswagen. So it was a good adoption to the family. And then about 2 months after I got it, I decided to be pretty cool and drive it on the hottest day of the year and blew the engine out of it. So real quickly learned how to rebuild one. And then after that, my car snowballed and changed, and now I'm in a pre-war and all that.
Nice. Yeah, and I could tell when you were, for those who are watching, when they get to see it, I could tell you started smiling thinking about it, and what a, you went from here's a reliable 2000 series car to, hey, let's get this 1970 Beetle.
Oh, I never hear the end of it from my mom.
Yeah.
If she was here today, you guys would hear it all too.
Yeah.
So,
Well, and you might not be with us if you hadn't made that bold choice, right?
exactly. Yeah. Like I said, it put me on a completely different track and one that I'm happy for.
Yeah, especially driving on the hottest day of the year, right?
Exactly. And I've had my fair share of tractors too. So luckily now I've got the cars that go a little faster.
Yeah, yeah, and everybody seems to have a Volkswagen story. I can't even
Everyone.
think of how many people we've had on talking about Volkswagens. It never ends, with good reason.
Yeah, great cars. I mean,
Yep.
love mine to death.
Yep, iconic. So we're going to ask Chris about his first car, which is a little bit older than yours.
Well, so that's kind of I guess, a tricky question. My first
Yeah.
daily driver was a 1976 MGB,
Okay.
blue, so it wasn't the bright yellow of a Volkswagen, but it was still slow. And when people saw me around town, you couldn't get away with anything. It was the only thing in town. But the same time I got that to be my quote practical daily driver, I started restoring a 1914 Model T. Both about 15 years old. The Model T took me a couple of years to restore, and a lot of fun, and still have it, still drive it. I'm
Awesome.
glad I'm glad cars can't talk, because the story that poor old car would have would fill a segment. But
Yeah.
Well, and that's part of our podcast. We think every car tells a story. So even just what you can tell us.
so that Model T, that's, I guess, sort of not sort of, it is an unusual choice for a first car.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I didn't grow up on a farm. I was really lucky to grow up around early collector cars. I'm the third generation of my family to be interested in pre-1916 or brass era cars.
Oh,
It was always a
wow.
hobby for us. My father got his first Model T when he was 12 or 13 years old. And so our growing up, even I think starting at 5 years old, our family vacation was a horseless carriage or a brassy or a car tour somewhere with a group of friends that we only got to see once a year because they lived in other parts of the country or even Canada. And we got together once a year and toured for a week in some area. And so actually I can remember, I was been told that the first tour we went on, I was 5 years old. I've got a younger brother. He's 3.5 years younger. We couldn't go the year before because he was still in diapers. And my parents decided they did not want to be changing diapers while driving around in a Model T. So we waited until he was 2 and I was 5, and then off we went. So when I got to be 15, I had been driving my father's cars and my parents' cars, Model Ts and other early stuff for years. And so I'd like to get one of my own, and having no money, that kind of made it easy. My father said, we have some pieces and we're active in the local car clubs. I bet other people, when they hear a 15-year-old wants to put a Model T together, they'll give some pieces. And so next thing you know,
Absolutely.
here we are.
Yeah. And fast forward many years later, and
Not that many. Well, it's been many years.
a few decades, and and so how far did your family travel in the Model T to go to on these vacations? Just curious.
I was so curious about that. Yeah.
So usually we would trailer them. You
Okay.
pick up truck and trailer, and
Okay.
I grew up in New Jersey, just outside New York City. But we had a group that toured in Ontario, Canada, and every 2 or 3 years we'd go up there. Now, being in Kansas sort of makes it easier to travel to, well, easier but more difficult to travel to both coasts. So we've toured all different areas. But when I was 17 or 18, had the Model T finished, and that year our group was going to tour in Rhode Island. New York to Rhode Island is only 3 or 4 hours by car, but by Model T it's a lot longer.
Yep.
Being 17, I didn't have a pickup truck or a trailer. My parents were using theirs. So a couple of us got together and said, well, let's just drive, So we jumped in the Model Ts and left a day earlier than everyone else, but drove up there, did a 5-day tour in and around Rhode Island, and then drove home and spent 9 days driving the Model T.
Dumb question. How fast would you go in it? I'm not asking top speed, but what's a reasonable speed if you're going to go, for a few hours in one of those cars?
Usually in a Model T, I usually say 35 or 40 miles an hour.
Wow. Okay.
If you're driving a stock Model T, I mean, there's all sorts of period performance modifications, but if you're driving a stock one and you drive 35 or 40 miles an hour, you're not hurting it. It will just go forever.
Yep.
Interesting. And would you do anything to the suspension to handle potholes of the modern era? Because you can be going very flat road and out of nowhere, especially up there, where you would get, the freeze-thaw cycle would just tear up the roads, and you get a pothole out of nowhere. Would you modify the suspension? No, you just kind of deal with it and pay extra attention to the road.
Some people do modify them. I have not. I feel like driving a car like that, and I think Cash will agree, makes you a better driver. You just learn to anticipate everything and watch for potholes. And really, if you think about how bad the roads were 100 years ago or 110 years ago.
If there were roads at all.
If there were roads. So even the occasional pothole today is better than anything they had, anything they had 100 or 110 years ago.
Good point.
They were made for it.
Fantastic. Okay, Doug, I'm done interrupting. You guys are just too interesting. I'll be quiet.
Well, here's a little fact, and it's I've seen it a few times. It's in the Smithsonian American History Museum in DC, not far from me. So the first car to travel, you got me thinking, Chris, the first car to travel across the U.S. was a 1903 Winton, Vermont.
Mm-hmm.
And it was driven by a doctor, and I had never heard of Winton, and he brought his dog with him. And it was the first car in 1903. So not only was it a 1903, but in 1903, he made it happen.
Yeah, if it's a fascinating story. It is, 1903. So Winton's, not to
No, I figured you might have one lying around somewhere in the shop or in the sheds.
No, but Winton's, they were built in Cleveland, Ohio, from the late 1800s into the 1920s. So in business about 25 years. And in 1903, really a pretty high-end U.S. built car. And I believe it was a bar bet of all things in San Francisco. And the doctor, Horatio Jackson, he said, yeah, I'll take that bet and drive from San Francisco to the East Coast and eventually to his home in Vermont.
Yeah.
And the trip cost him, I believe, thousands of dollars, but he won that $50 bet.
Yeah, he did.
In the process, gets credit for first transcontinental drive.
Yeah. So there were dozens of car companies 100, 10, 15, 20 years ago.
There were.
Now we've got what? Half a dozen, depending upon how you count. So did the Depression really do them in? Was there, I know that they were just kind of bought up by rival companies. Is that largely what, because I know you can get, a small plug here, you can get one of the lines of emphasis in this major is auto restoration history, where you can learn about all this stuff, teach it, talk about it, write about it.
Yeah. So I feel like I can come in because that is my emphasis.
I was going to ask you. Perfect.
earlier you talked about history is the future. Well, so back in high school, I was going to either become ag sales or a history teacher. So when I found out about McPherson and their emphasis, well, they had a history one. So I was like, all right, perfect. So I came here. For our history department, it's so interesting now that I'm actually minoring in it too. But we have classes such as history of the automobile,
Yeah.
history of automotive design, things like that. So you learn all of it. And like I said, when I came to college, I was mainly interested in 50s cars, something like that. But then I had a couple pre-war automobiles. But now, and talking about how you said about the Great Depression, my whole life emphasis and what my career is going to be into is orphan cars that are no longer in business. They're companies. So now I own two of them, Marmon and a Franklin, who are lost to the Depression. And so you learn all of it. And that's being at this program really shifted me something into liking history. Like I said, enough to make it a minor and like these old cars. And I mean, I spend my weekends. There's some college kids who spend their spring breaks, going to beaches and partying. I spend mine in the library and watching documentaries on my couch about Horatio's Drive, the Lincoln Highway, stuff like that. So
Love it. Love it. Great answer. And so, yes, so to be clear here, as we were talking about before, sorry, I said I wouldn't interrupt, but I can't help it. These guys, McPherson,
Great questions. Great questions.
Okay, so
great answers.
Cash, you still have to take the core courses, 40 to 41 hours, introduction to restoration, engine rebuilding, all this good stuff. I mean, you've got to jumpstart, as we said, fundamentals of woodworking, automotive, electrical systems. What else? Chassis restoration. Okay, important. Paint. Yeah, exactly.
Upholstery.
And the history core courses are introductory methods for historical analysis, social history of the automobile, technology and society, colloquium of historiography, and then your thesis. But then the electives are all sorts of interesting things here too. American history since 1877. Automobile had a ton to do with how that changed. Modern Europe, social history, political history. So have you taken any of those courses yet? You mentioned you were a junior.
I've taken every single one you've mentioned. So the one
Mic drop.
Yeah, the one thing I love about McPherson College, I'll give a little shout out there, is so I come from a small school. My graduating class was 18. So when I came to McPherson, which people say is also small, I fell in love with it because not only is the AR program amazing, the general education program is amazing. So I was a fortunate freshman. I probably took 3 or 4 automotive classes my freshman year, engines, paint, I think chassis. I took a lot of them, intro to restoration that Chris teaches. And then after going into that, like I said, I wanted to do the history emphasis. So I took all the history courses our college has to offer. And now I've done advanced paint because we have several advanced courses as well too. So as a junior, I've luckily been able to take a lot more than the core and just dive into anything. So
that is fantastic. All right, Doug, I'm done interrupting. I promise. Over to you. Until we end the show, I'm going to keep it buttoned.
No. You're fine. You're fine. So, what's great about your guys? Well, actually, I'll ask you about what happened to your first cars. I think you both. Well, at least Chris still owns his, but I'll let Cash tell us about what happened to his first car, and then we'll get into the second cars.
My first car is still sitting at home in our shop. So Mom reminds me of it every time she goes out there because it's collecting dust.
Oh, it's still there.
Drive it. Yeah. And
Love
I keep all of them running, but now I probably filled that car with about 5 more, or shop with about 5 more cars. And I still get those calls from Mom saying, you got to do something. So they're there.
Yeah. And Chris, I think you mentioned you still have the Model T.
Yep. Yeah, I still have, and at this point, I can't get rid of it.
No.
And maybe the good part is it runs great, usually. But it's I've got so many memories, and it's led a pretty hard life. It's wouldn't at this point, I guess I'm lucky. It wouldn't be worth selling. It's worth more to me than it would be to anybody else. And
I love that. I love the way you just put that. Yeah.
I I've two daughters, one in high school and one in college now. And, I told them, because I mean, they kind of grew up the same way I did, antique car tour somewhere in the country, and I think they figured out they've ridden in or driven a Model T or another early car, I think in about 30 or 32 different states at this point that they've seen growing up. And told them both, when they can reach the pedals, they can drive. So we're lucky in Kansas here. There's lots of dirt roads. And would just go out on a dirt road when they were 8 or 10 years old. And here you go. They can, so my first car was also the first Model T they've driven. And my oldest daughter's now in college, but she restored her own Model T when she was in high school and before. And so that Model T that I still have, my first car, but we're still using it, and everybody gets to drive it.
Yeah, no, that's awesome. So yeah, you guys both still have it. Oh, the MG.
It because it was my daily driver. I drove it for a few years, high school and the beginning of college, and then it needed to go. I needed something a little bit more practical.
Got it. Especially in the Northeast, rust and all that stuff. Yeah, and you both, maybe a coincidence, but your second cars were both Ford Mustangs.
Purely coincidence.
Yeah. So Cash, tell us about your Mustang. What led to it? Obviously, you didn't sell the first car.
No. So I kind of acquired two cars about the same time, but the Mustang was about a day before the other one, so I put it. It was a 95, so an SN95. It was red, 5-speed with convertible top. So just what a high schooler needed, to get in trouble. And I got that car. It was actually my aunt's, and she had it. She was the second owner, put it in a storage shed for about 13 years. She came back home one day and she's like, "Have you heard about my Mustang?" And I was like, "No, I don't think I have." And told me about it. Of course, as a high school kid, I was like, "Okay, well, I think I want to know what speed is." So I went, bought that car from her. We dug it out of the storage shed and I put a new top on it. It only had 40 to 50,000 miles on it. And it performed really well for me. I had it for several years. And then the actually way I acquired it is a funny story. And I tell people all the time, growing up on a ranch, I grew up doing team roping, showing horses at the county fair. And so to buy that car, I actually sold a horse. So I tell people I sold a Mustang to buy a Mustang.
Nice. I love that.
That's my catchphrase.
That is a first. And
that's a terrible
Christian.
No, that will be the title of his autobiography. It must be. Yes.
Yeah. No, Christian, your middle son has a 94 Mustang. That's his first car. Convertible. Correct?
04.
No, 04.
Yeah, 40th anniversary.
So sorry.
Yeah.
I was close.
He thinks he is way cooler than I ever was. Facts. Yep. Yes.
Yeah. And so Chris, your first car, or your second car, pardon me, or third, depending on how you look at it, was also a Mustang. Tell us about it.
It was kind of, I guess, nondescript. It was a 1984 Mustang with the 5-liter engine. A lot of fun. Similar to Cash. I was in college when I got it. Not what a college student needed. Glad I didn't get into any more trouble with it than I did. Had it for a couple of years. It was just my daily driver. And actually, when I came out here to Kansas as a student, I needed something a little more practical, and so the Mustang went, and that was the end of the Mustang.
Yeah, and just looping back to Cash. What was the big difference that you remember besides convertible between the Volkswagen and the Mustang?
Well, comfort was a little bit. I had those nice leather seats in the Mustang, and like I said, the Volkswagen is 1600 dual port, but I feel like in the Mustang I could really hit highway speeds, get in a little more trouble. But I was always well with them. They were both in really good shape. So, but the Mustang to me was kind of my first jump towards independence and stuff like that, and be like, okay, this is my first car that I've purchased.
Right. Yep.
And typical other things like I always had to change the thermostat on my Mustang, and never had to do that on the Volkswagen.
Mhm.
So,
No need, right?
yeah, because I was like, well, now I've got to deal with this funny little water thing.
Right.
Oh,
One of the things for me, I'm sorry if I
Yeah.
can jump in.
No, please do. This is your
Because
show.
I because I had such a difference between my collector car and my daily driver, I enjoyed working on the Model T or early cars. I didn't like working on my modern car and still don't. I mean, I'll do maintenance, but I guess it sort of gave me that mindset. If I only have a certain number of hours to work on something, I want it to be something old and maybe something I understand more. So I'll do basic maintenance. But to me, like the even the MG, but certainly the Mustang and everything after, it's been a daily driver, and so I never beat on them real bad because I didn't want to have to fix it. I didn't want to have to spend the time fixing it. So I kind of always tried to take care of stuff and work on old stuff if that's what I got
Yep.
time for.
Yeah. Yeah. Well, you made your hobby your career, right? And that's pretty awesome. So I'm gonna jump around a little bit, but I just want to get to both of your current cars or most recent cars. Both cars, definitely Cash's car I had not heard about, but tell us about it, Cash.
my 1917 Franklin, that most recent purchase.
Mm-hmm.
So it all began when I was a freshman here. And there's this club called the Franklin Club. They're amazing. If you haven't heard about them, look into them.
Okay.
They're, like I said, automobiles from, I believe, '02 to 1934, air cooled. Um, and they competed higher end with upware by Marmon's, maybe Pierce's, stuff like that. And so I went to back to freshman year. I went to this Franklin Trek because I got a scholarship to go to it. It's a week-long event in upstate New York, and you just have fun. It's kind of like daycare for all these scholarship kids. We just get to drive these old cars around, and it's a great club because if there's kids who really like these cars, they'll always find the right car for the right kid. So since kids have gone there for several years, a lot of them acquired Franklins, and then I, being the next victim, back in October, I had a couple people reach out to me saying, "Hey, I think I know this one Franklin for sale," and the owners were like, "Yeah, we might sell it." And finally, we became really good friends, and I purchased it. It's a 1917 Franklin Cloverleaf Coupe. It's got a really special history behind it. It was a California car its whole life, has a California top on it. They say it's probably one of maybe two left with this top.
Oh,
Um,
wow.
really good special features. Currently not running. I've had to, like, when I got it, it was probably in about 40 unlabeled boxes. I got it
Oh,
back to the car.
man.
I've been putting it together. And like I said, it's aluminum bodied, air cooled, wooden frame. It's really a buggy. So I
Mm-hmm.
sold my horse. Now I'm going to horseless carriages. So, um,
Aluminum in 1970 would have made it a very high-end, desirable automobile, correct? We think
yeah,
of it
they were
as nothing
expensive.
now, but yeah, it
Yeah.
was a
So, and
luxury
like,
car of its day.
and it's every time I look at it and work on it, I have it sitting next to my Marmon. But you look at this Franklin from 11 years earlier, and it was a high-end car. It's comfort, it's got everything. I mean, it's got 25 horsepower, so I'm not bragging about that, but that's why I'm bragging about all the other features it's got. And speed's not my thing. So these cars are amazing vehicles to be around. I'm honored to be its next caretaker.
Yeah. Do you I meant to ask this a few minutes ago about the Model Ts and Model As, but um, how far back history, Chris, you kind of brought it up, but how many owners can you trace back on some of these
Oh,
cars?
wow. Great question.
Have you been able to do that, or has it been this car has had 12 owners?
Like provenance of the car, like a
Yeah.
piece of art almost. Hmm.
So yeah, that's my favorite thing about it. So that's why I
Hmm.
chose the history emphasis.
History. Yeah.
And we do classes here that Chris teaches, and he shows us kind of how to research your cars, going through
Nice.
newspapers, stuff like this. And my Franklin, it's always had a neat history. Like I said, the first owner was a rich alfalfa farmer from California. He actually ran away during 1917, lied about his age, bought this car, and then went and fought in World War One. And then after that, went
Wow.
to a school teacher in Los Angeles, and then another couple in Los Angeles, and then to me. But like some of my other cars have different stories. I've got a 26 Model T that was sold brand new from my family's Ford dealership. And I actually wrote letters to all the previous owners and bought that car back. So it just depends on what the car is. And
Right.
so sometimes it's hard, I will say.
Yeah.
It's very hard. But Chris is kind of a professional in that, so I can hand it to him. He knows.
For me, so that first Model T I have, there is no history. I started with an engine block that I know where it came from, but it was just a block, and it was just one I gathered pieces and put it
Yep.
together. Actually, I shouldn't say that. It's a pickup truck, and the pickup bed came off of my father's 1910 Model T touring car.
Wow.
Which he still owns. And
Whoa.
we know that his car was sold new in New York State, and my father has all the original paper registrations. It was a touring car until 1917 when it was a 10-year-old car. And then on the registrations, it was they owned a farm, so then it was converted to a pickup truck.
Right.
When he got the car about 1980, it was still a pickup truck. So we took that bed off and he built the touring car. But anyway, that's kind of where that one came from. I have another Model T 1910 touring car similar to my father's that Ford still has the original build sheets on some early cars. So I know it was sold new to Maine. I know what dealership it went through. And it then appears, I've got a photo, actually a magazine article from 1937 that this 1910 Ford was being used in an antique car event in 1937. So it was already a collector antique car in the 1930s. And I know what's happened since then.
Wow.
And then, it kind of goes on and on. But
yeah, no, that's amazing. And you mentioned one of your daughters has a Model T as well, right?
Mm-hmm.
Yep.
And it similarly, like to mine, it was just pieces.
Yep.
Don't know where any of them came from.
Right. And
as far as that.
the history, correct me if I'm wrong, about pickup trucks and why they're called pickups is they didn't come as pickups. Companies sold the bed for it, and you would go to the train station, I think, the rail yard, and pick up the bed for the vehicle. And that's where the term pickup truck came from. Am I right?
Yeah, and
Yeah.
that, like the pickup bed that's on my car, it was that. It
It's
was
older.
it was an aftermarket.
It's newer. Sorry. Yes. Yep. Exactly. So I bet you didn't know that, Christian.
Did not. Great question.
Yeah.
Good stuff.
Yeah. So we want to hear about the Auburn as well, Chris. So we're competing here. We've got a 1917 Franklin and we've got a 1910 Auburn. I am curious if you guys would race, who would win, but tell us about it.
Well, his doesn't run right now, so I'm gonna say I would win.
I can push that.
We could push it and it would win. Yeah.
You guys help.
I'll say this week I would win, no doubt. So the Auburn, it came into our lives. I'll say our lives. It's a family car. We bought it about 5 or 6 years ago. Always had Model Ts and Buicks and other early cars, and then decided we wanted something a little bit bigger, but also early. And this was a car we had seen years and years ago. It was somewhat local, near Wichita, about an hour away from us, and kind of tracked it down, found out it was still there, and were able to buy it. It had been, actually, it's another car. We know the history back to new. Got it, and then I did a quick search on newspapers online and found an article in 1953 on that car when it was being restored. And it mentioned the original owner's name and who owned it then. And we know the history since then, but it was restored in the 50s or 60s. Kind of pretty well done, but had been sitting since then. It hadn't run in 40 years until we got it. So we decided we were going to restore it. And that's what we did.
Nice. Beautiful. So how many, I'm jumping ahead in my mind, but I just can't stop. Who has more cars, and what's the number for each of you?
Probably Cash.
Uh, I don't like to count this because I think currently I counted the other day because I just got one the other day. I'm at double digits now, so we hit 10.
Oh boy.
Okay.
So
Congrats.
thank you. You could imagine how my family feels.
Yeah.
So
Yeah, I was
Uh,
gonna say if you don't want to count, your mom would probably volunteer that number, right?
tell me about it.
She
Yeah.
reminds you. Yeah.
Mhm.
For me, it's a lot less.
Okay.
I've got two Model Ts. I have a 1913 Buick, and then the Auburn is a family car. My father and I
Mhm.
are
Mhm.
kind of 50-50 partners in that.
Nice.
Did the restoration together. So that only counts as half. So that makes me feel better.
Mhm.
And then we've got a couple other cars also, but nowhere near double digits.
Yeah, that guy Cash has a problem.
Cash has a good problem, but
It's an
yeah,
addiction.
yeah. And I know Chris, you love all your cars. You really don't have one that you've hated, but I find or disliked. I find the car Cash mentioned, which is so out of character for him. What was the car that you disliked the most? That you told us about, at least.
The one I dislike the most is one that I own because I have to work on it.
Okay.
Is a 1994 Saab 900. That's turbo cabriolet.
Mm-hmm.
And when you look at my collection, that's the one my friends make the most fun of because it doesn't fit in. Bright red. And like I said, I dislike it the most. It's got a good history. It was my grandmother's. I bought it from her. Low mileage, great condition, grandmother car to the max, if you can imagine one. But working on it sucks. It's those funny little foreign cars, and I can't wrap my head around it. So
Yeah, I remember like that the Saab convertibles. I think like in the 90s, 80s, that was like if you were a lawyer, that was like the car you had to get, along with the BMW probably, but more so the Saabs.
they're great cars. I mean, I have the window sticker and all that from mine when it was sold brand new. It was in 1994, a $42,000 car.
Yeah.
Leather
Wow.
seats, heated seats. It's got all the bells and whistles, and it's still a great vehicle for me. But it's just if I have to work on it, I'll turn it away for a couple days and be like, all right, we're gonna think about this.
Wow. Yep. So there's you of all the cars you've owned, you've gotten rid of very few of them, it sounds like.
Yes,
Yep.
yes, depends on the car.
Yep. Yep. And I want to ask you both. I think you guys have some dream cars already, but what would be your dream car?
For me,
Yeah.
I don't know. There probably going to be some listeners. They're going to have to go look this one up, and
Including
sorry about
me.
that. But so for me, my dream car would have to be something early, just because that's what I'm into. But probably a circa 1910 Simplex automobile, because I grew up close to New York City. These were built in New York City, and just a really high end car in that 1910 era. Um, the I'll say the mid-sized model was a four-cylinder, roughly 600 cubic inch engine. Um, Today, top speeds of 60, 70, 80 miles an hour. Um,
Hmm.
for me, that'd be the dream car. I'll settle with the Auburn for now, which is no comparison at all. But um, we're good with that.
Yeah. And cash?
For mine, I like to shoot really high, and what takes up the most amount of garage space. I'm really interested in the early vehicles pre World War II, so and higher end stuff, orphan cars, of course. So I would love to just settle for a Duesenberg Model J. Um, Probably a Phaeton. I like the Model A's, because they're really impressive. They're not cars; they're pieces of engineering. That's just beautiful. And the Duesenberg line has always been amazing. And so that's the one car that if I've been to a lot of shows and I see them there, if I just see one driving down the street or collections I've worked in, a Duesenberg will always draw my attention to it and blow me away.
They're striking looking. Yeah.
Yeah, and you can't stop looking at them, all 10 miles of them. So
Good deal. Well, thank you guys for spending some time with us. I think you have an interested student here. Would you take Doug? I know, talking about your summer programs, he wanted to. Can he just kind of sit audit a class or just sit in on? Does it still have to be admitted? Do you allow that sort of thing?
So to come into the program as a student throughout the year, you would have to be admitted.
Mhm.
I bet I could pull some strings and see what I can do for you, Doug.
Hmm.
But yeah, so and we do have a process to come as a traditional student. But then yeah, we offer summer classes in June, which are 1 week, um, several 1 week sessions.
Hmm.
You pick a subject, you come hang out with us. A lot of our past participants call it car camp.
Car camp, love
We
it.
we do evening activities. It's only these what we call Restoration Institute classes. It's the only thing going on that week. So we all go to the dining hall together.
Oh wow.
Everybody, a lot of the participants stay in the dorms. We clean out our newest dorms and put people in there, and they're just hobbyists from around the country that come and spend a week or two or three with us.
Yeah.
Doug is just coming out of his skin with happiness. I can just feel it radiating
Yep,
from you.
I
So,
can see more cars in my future if I go to one of these.
oh boy, yeah, start stacking up the cash. Well,
Yep.
gentlemen,
Yes,
this has
sir.
really been wonderful. Thank you for making the time. I got one last question for you on the way out, and really, it's just more of a statement of mine. I find the concept of a rumble seat fascinating. It's a bucket list of mine to sit in a rumble seat in a car. One that's even redone would be even more fantastic. So, what is a rumble seat? Why does it exist? Was it ever used? Was it sort of a vanity thing back there? Do you see them come through on any of your cars? Have you restored any and do they work?
It's a lot of questions.
Well,
Yeah.
you just take one or two and we're
I'm
Rapid
done.
gonna have to let
fire.
Cash take that.
Okay, so yeah, I'll jump in because I have a 1928 Model A Sport Coupe,
Okay.
and it does feature a rumble seat.
No way.
So
Okay.
it was restored in 1994 through 1997.
Okay.
When I purchased it in about right after I graduated high school, 2022, because there's a place I worked in high school. They had a bunch of cars and um, bought it from them, and it is one of the best seats in the house.
Huh.
I drive that car. It's pretty much my daily driver is that Model A, but the rumble seat is the most comfortable place to sit. There's more leg room back there. You can actually, get
Oh, I would have
fresh
thought the
air.
opposite. I would have thought the opposite.
Oh
You-
no,
You're
it's
you're saying there's more space to sit. So,
mhm,
oh, maybe up front it's a little more crowded with
yeah,
not as much leg room. Okay, okay.
exactly. And you actually have to drive your car if you sit up front. So, if I sit in the rumble
That's a
seat,
very good point.
um,
Very
and
good point.
there's one time my freshman year of college where we drove my Model A and Model T from Colorado to here, 500 miles, and every hour or so we switched out someone in the rumble seat because everyone argued to sit there. So
Absolutely.
it's like I said, the best seat in the house. I love mine.
How is it in the rain?
I've also been in the rain. It's for a car that's going 40 mile an hour, you're gonna get a little wet. So enjoy the ride. Leather seat, so you just wipe it off when you're done.
Oh,
My dog, I've got a golden retriever. When we take the Model A out, he sits in the rumble seat, and everyone loves seeing him back there. He stays back there, and
I bet.
it's amazing.
no, who is cooler than this kid Cash? Nobody is cooler
Nobody.
than this guy. I got to
Nope.
tell you what. Well, thank you for that explainer. And I tell you what, pal, if I ever make my way out to where you are, I will buy you a tank of gasoline if you take me around the block in a rumble seat. Do we have a deal?
You've got a spot in my car anytime. Yep.
Fantastic. Fantastic. Again, thank you, gentlemen, both for
Thank
making
you.
some time in your schedule. This was an extreme pleasure for us. Appreciate it.
Thank you guys. It
Yeah,
was
thank
fun.
you.
All right. Well, you have just heard the high revving, low mileage, late model, maybe early model in
Early
this
model.
case, heard round the world authoritative podcast on automotive nostalgia. He's Doug. Reach him at doug@carslove.com. I am Christian. Reach me at christian@carslove.com. They were Cash and Chris. This was so much fun. If you like what you've heard, please follow and tell a friend. Leave a review. Try out carslove.com where you can do so. And our link tree, which is at
linktr.ee/carsloved.
That's why we keep him around. He's very conversant on the
And
alphabet. Yes, go.
if anybody wants to be a guest, wants to recommend a guest, wants to send us some automotive trivia, ask a question, you can do that all on our website. Send us an email.
We're very approachable, and Doug has had most of his shots. Yes, I am sure we will see you at the next local car show, showroom, race strip, or concours. We appreciate you listening, and we will see you next time. Thank you to our devoted fan base, Cars Love Nation.